Hello, hello, hello. This is Warren Redlick. Thank you for watching. We're going to talk about SpaceX. We're going to talk about Tesla. We are live on Locals platform, the Daily Live, warrenredlick.locals.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, there may be a live chat on the side. What I do is I record this on the Locals platform first. Again, warrenredlick.locals.com. The live streams are free. Supporters can comment and chat on the live stream on Locals, but it's free to watch for anybody. You just have to sign up for the email list, which is, it's not a big deal. I think, and I don't even know if you have to do that. Later, after this live stream is done, this will be moved over to YouTube. I will be in the live chat. That should happen soon. I moved it an hour earlier today for the Super Bowl because I'm going to a Super Bowl party later. The biggest news this week from the Elon universe was the Starship presentation. Starship was fully stacked using the chopsticks up at the top. When I was out at Starbase with Ellie in space several months ago, they were getting ready to start assembling those chopsticks. This is it's called Mechazilla. The idea is it will be able to catch the Super Heavy booster when it lands. It will be able to catch Starship when it lands. This is really important, this Mechazilla feature, because it allows them to remove landing legs from Super Heavy, from Starship. And by removing those items, that saves mass. And mass is critically important to the effectiveness of a rocket. So this is just another step along the way. Now, the thing about the Starship presentation that struck me was we did not learn a lot of new information. This was a lot of information that Elon has talked about in the Lex Fridman interview in December, in the Everyday Astronaut interviews that was a few months earlier than that. There's not, and Elon's tweeted a lot about what's happening with Starship. So I didn't feel that the Starship presentation was a lot of new information. There was one particular piece of information that I thought was really big, and I'm going to brag about. Elon pretty much said that Canaveral would be the main launch platform for Starship, the operational launches. And I called this back in August, late August of 2021, that Canaveral was going to be the main launch platform, not Starbase. I said it a couple times. I also said it in late January. I think SpaceX will launch more from Canaveral than Starbase. Elon did say that at this event. Other details that came out after, and this isn't really that new. Raptor 2, SpaceX tweeted that a video of Raptor 2 generating more than 230 tons of thrust at sea level, up from 85 tons for Raptor 1. Elon said they're hoping to achieve 250 tons of force of thrust. I'm not sure. I think ton force. I'm not sure what TF stands for. By the end of the year, Elon talked in some depth about, there was a question about what's going on with Raptor 2. And apparently there's this problem with the chamber melting. So that is something that they're working on improving. I think they're going to get there. But this is great. It's like an engineering problem. It's not like a fundamental physics problem. They should be able to get there. And this will make Raptor 2 a more efficient engine in a bunch of ways. The other interesting detail here, if you look, the engine on your left, I think that's your left. The engine on your left is much more complicated. That's Raptor 1. Raptor 2, that's 185 tons. Raptor 2 is closer to my head. That is much simpler and achieves 230 tons of thrust. Elon thinks they're going to get that to 250. And then Elon says remaining fussy bits will be gone, allowing deletion of shroud. Deleting parts makes it easier to manufacture, and it also reduces mass. And mass is critically important at making the space Starship and Super Heavy combination more effective at delivering mass to orbit, which is the critical goal. So a lot of good things happening here. Pranay Pothole often tweets and Elon often replies to him. This is an image of the engines under Super Heavy. I believe that that's 29 engines, but I didn't count. Elon said they're moving to 33 engines on the next booster. That will give it more thrust. That will make it better able to launch Starship. The idea is the booster accelerates Starship to a certain altitude and particularly a certain velocity. And the faster it can get Starship going before it leaves, the more juice Starship has to get into orbit and the more fuel it has left when it gets into orbit, giving Starship more capability. I'm looking at the chat. For those who are watching this, on Locals, there is a chat on the side that paid supporters can participate in. So Mark Plott, who is going to be a moderator on the YouTube live stream, on the YouTube stream later, the premiere later, Mark Plott is also active on the chat here. And I want to say hello this morning to Melodies of 1974. Alexandra's here. Victor Block is here. Thank you all for participating. Thanks to everyone who's watching. And the reason why it's not live directly on YouTube is because YouTube keeps demonetizing my live streams. So I do my live streams here on Locals, and I do the premiere later on YouTube where it doesn't get demonetized as a premiere. YouTube is quirky. I've talked with them. They're not helpful. They're not answering questions. So, and thank you, Chokunen, for being there at 2 a.m. in Tokyo. I really appreciate your commitment. So I'm moving on from SpaceX. I mean, I think the whole SpaceX thing's really important. But again, I think the presentation was not as big of a deal. At 2 a.m., it would be Konbanwa or Yasaminasai, Mark. It wouldn't be Konnichiwa at 2 a.m. in Tokyo. So this was kind of an interesting tweet. This is more Tesla related or artificial intelligence related. Ilya Sutskever is with OpenAI, and he said it may be that today's large neural networks are slightly conscious. Andrei Karpathy agreed and pointed to a post he made about consciousness as a useful insight for compression. And Andrei wrote a story about an AI indicating some level of consciousness in the middle of doing its work. This guy, Ed, he think he misunderstood, and Karpathy had this response. So this is kind of an interesting discussion. I think there's a really, really deep conversation about what is consciousness. Because there's this ultimate question about whether, I thought it would Konbanwa too, also Chokunen. I think there's this underlying question. We are all concerned, when will AI be conscious? And what does it mean when AI becomes conscious? When it becomes self-aware, what does all that mean? If you follow the Terminator movies, then the Skynet became self-aware and decided to take out the humans because the humans were the greatest threat to Skynet. I often wonder how conscious we are as humans. Are we all conscious? Do you ever feel like you're going through life and you encounter some human who doesn't appear fully conscious? When someone is drunk, are they really conscious? When my mother is at late stages of Alzheimer's, is she really conscious when she asks the same questions over and over again, doesn't really process the answers? What does it mean to be conscious? When are humans no longer really conscious? Are dogs actually conscious? There's a lot of questions about consciousness, and we don't really understand it. And yet we're trying to decide whether artificial intelligence and machine learning might become conscious. And Neil is in the chat. Hi, Neil. Are Democrats not conscious? Is that what you're saying, Neil? Some partisanship in the chat this afternoon. I guess we're in the afternoon. So I think this consciousness question is really important. It's relevant to Neuralink. It's relevant to AI. It's relevant to Tesla bot. What does consciousness mean? Why does it matter? These are questions that I don't feel are really solidly answered anywhere. I mean, I really think that question, you is your dog conscious? Is your cat conscious? Is a baby conscious, right? At what level where do we draw the line between not conscious and then conscious? And then are there levels of consciousness, that are, by having the conversation about what consciousness is that a higher level of consciousness than a consciousness of, I need to go to the store and get food, right? Where's that play out? I had an encounter in Brickell in downtown Miami, near downtown Miami, with a guy who I think he wanted to fight. I'm not sure what, and I'm having conscious thoughts. I really don't want to fight this guy. There's a long backstory here. I was out with friends drinking. I was not drinking, but my friends were drinking. And we end up in this situation with this guy who is seemingly trying to pick a fight. And there's this moment where he goes like this, I think that was supposed to be a fighting posture, and it didn't seem like a very good fighting posture. I don't know what was going on there. And my attitude was, step away. Sorry for bothering you, sir. Have a nice day. Try to avoid conflict. That's my approach. Somebody that was with me seemed to want to pick a fight with this guy, and that was pick a fight for me with this guy. And that was not great. But, who was conscious in that situation? I'm pretty confident I was conscious in that situation. I'm not sure anybody else was. So what is consciousness? What does it mean? Where do we see it? Where do we not see it? Do we really have ways of measuring what consciousness is? Neil, I was prepared, but I don't want to use it, Neil. My friend Neil's in the chat. He said, I bet you had your 9mm with you. I did indeed have my 9mm with me. I didn't want to use it. You don't want to use your pistol. You want to use it when you have to use it. You don't want to get yourself in a situation where you might need to use it and you don't want to. And given that the guy's fighting posture didn't look very fightish, didn't look very effective. I didn't think I was going to need my pistol in that situation, but fortunately, this unconscious person chose to walk away. Or did he choose to walk away, or was it an unconscious walking away? I don't know. I think I had this begging, pleading look in my eyes. Please don't make me fight you. I don't know. I mean, I was just trying to resolve the situation. Anyway, who's conscious there? That's what's consciousness, and what will TeslaBot do in that situation? Will TeslaBot consciously avoid conflict? How will that work out? All kinds of interesting stuff there. That was a little personal story. Probably got too deep there. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about before we really turn heavy into Tesla. This is a Tesla thing, but I've got a lot more about Tesla coming. Dave Lee did this tweet where he talked about the 4 technology adoption S-curves. If you follow the concept of the S-curve and you look at the EV on the small EV curve there, the idea is that Tesla is accelerating its production of vehicles. And it's going to accelerate fast and continue accelerating. At some point, they will produce enough EVs that the market will start getting saturated, and the curve will bend back. It's known as an exponential curve. It starts flat, it accelerates up, 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 and at a certain point, it can't accelerate anymore, and it starts to bend back. So Dave has this one with multiple curves bending back: EVs, then FSD, robotaxi, then energy. Interesting. I'm not sure that energy is gonna, and then AI robots. And I'm not so sure that the last curve bends back, because, at least not in our lifetimes, because bots are so useful off Earth. The value of TeslaBot in orbit, on the moon, on Mars, on Ganymede, on Europa, in space, the TeslaBot will be able to operate in any environment and on the planet, probably. I mean, maybe not Venus, but on any environment in the solar system, whether it's empty space or it's on a planet's surface, that doesn't have breathable air, and it won't need a spacesuit. I think that's what we're heading for with TeslaBot. So TeslaBot is going to be incredibly valuable. And what's happening with this curve is TeslaBot initially is very limited in its skill set, but over time it's going to learn more tasks, it's going to learn more skills, it's going to be able to operate in more environments. And then the thing is that because the labor market, it basically takes over the labor market, and the labor market is ridiculously huge. The labor market right now is, 5 billion people or something like that. So how long is it going to take to make billion? And then the demand for labor is probably bigger than the number of people out there who are available to work. And as the bot gets less expensive and more capable, it ends up filling every job that exists and more. It doesn't mean that we're without work. We still find work to do. People who think that humans have no uses are missing the point. We will find other things to do, but the bots will essentially do jobs that we couldn't hire people to do before because people were too expensive for that job. And now the bot is able to do that job for less money than a human would do it. And you end up with bots doing work that humans wouldn't do, frees up humans to do other work. But when you get into space, I mean, the demand for bots on Mars or on the moon, on the lunar surface, I don't know. You may get to the point where, as you're expanding out onto the planets and the stars, the demand for bot is effectively infinite. I mean, there's some limit to it, but I'm not sure where that limit ends. So I just thought that was an interesting little detail that we're going to see more about this in the future. And I'm going to address bot in the QA questions for people who are supporters on Locals, supporters on the YouTube channel at the exclusive content level or above. Although I think today I allowed anybody who's on YouTube, who's a subscriber, to add questions. And people on Patreon are able to ask questions in advance of the live stream. So I only had a couple questions from Locals, and from Patreon I have about 5 questions or comments on the YouTube. I'm going to address those later. And this question about bot, there's some questions about bot coming in that. Victor Block, just right now, really quick, Victor Bot in the chat asks, what gave you your conviction to invest in Tesla? What was your moment? When did you invest? So, I mean, the conviction pretty clearly came on December 21, 2015, when SpaceX landed the first orbital rocket booster. To me, that was a moment of science fiction becoming reality, and that was, no one ever did anything like that before. that was just absolutely spectacular, an absolutely spectacular moment. And that was the moment. So that was December 21, 2015. I started buying Tesla stock 2 months later, less than 2 months later in February of 2016 at $38 a share. I think was the first price I paid in today's dollars. Post split, I mean. And my average share price in my main IRA is like $75 a share. So it's trading at 860 and everybody's panicked. And I'm like, I'm up, I don't know, 12x or something. So I've been buying Tesla stocks since then. I expect a certain event in my portfolio to change things and free me up, and I will probably sell a bunch of other stuff and buy more Tesla stock. If the stock is going to stay down below 900, I'm going to have to probably go, if I'm already like 90+% in, I may have to go all in. Getting into Tesla, let's talk about FSD beta first. Holmar's catalog, this is Omar Kazi, demonstrated that FSD beta got in a situation where it needed to back up to get out of it, or at least it seemed like it thought it needed to back up to get out of a situation. And it actually backed up. And that's the first time that Omar had seen it happen. I have not seen this happen yet. Elon replied saying the car should also reverse slightly if it peaks in an intersection and sees fast-moving cross traffic, just like a person would. So I'm going to talk about beta a little bit, FSD beta a little bit more here. David was criticizing FSD beta, saying that this backing up feature is an indication that the cameras are not in optimal locations. Well, humans back up sometimes when they're in these situations. So the goal is to be better than human. The goal isn't, there's no expectation that FSD beta will be perfect. But David says limiting functionality at high-speed intersections will hint at higher resolution optics and processing requirements. And I think this misses an important detail that I addressed up here. And this is in the Lex Fridman interview. This is a video I'm working on where I went through the Elon interview with Lex Fridman. I'm going to be talking about this more, I think, this week. The change to photon counts massively improves the optical performance of the existing cameras. Elon talked about this. The way the camera system works now is the cameras take in photons. They use software in the camera system or in the car's hardware system to interpret the photon counts into video, the video for the human eye, and then the car computer reads the video for the human eye and starts constructing a vector space to represent reality, so it can decide what's happening in reality for it to drive through. And Elon said in the Lex Fridman interview, we're skipping the step of interpreting the photons into an image for humans and then working off the image for the video image for humans. They're going to work straight off photon counts. And this provides much higher resolution because there are photons that would not register on the video for humans that are going to be processed, which makes the cameras perform much better. And it also reduces latency. The time it takes the system to interpret the photon count to a video image and then read the video image to create a vector space, they're saving about 13 milliseconds, which is very significant. That will make the car react quicker, and it's going to make the car have better vision. Pseudo lidar is different, Mark. Pseudo lidar is a little bit different. So I think this is a really big step. I think this is coming in version 11. I don't know when version 11 is coming. Elon's been talking about version 11 for a while. I want to say it's coming in February, but my guess is March at the earliest. Stainless steel water bottle and the Tesla Air t-shirt and other t-shirts are at elonbits.com, by the way. elonbits.com. 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 Lots of great stuff. This is the most popular shirt on elonbits.com. And there's a Tesla stainless steel water bottle, TSLA, for the stock with red instead of blue. So I think that's really big news. Then one other thing I wanted to mention was my own personal experience with FSD beta. There are certain intersections that I was having problems with a few months ago. There's this one intersection. It's on US 441 at Sandalfoot Boulevard. And whether you were traveling northbound or southbound in the left lane, if you were in the left lane and FSD beta is driving, FSD beta would tend to go to the center lane before you got there. But if you force it to be in the left lane, it would hesitate and maybe try to turn left or move left a little bit as it was going through the intersection. It wasn't really clear what it was trying to do. Both northbound and southbound, I was having those problems. That problem went away probably 2 versions ago. There's another intersection, Turtle Creek and Sample Road, going southbound towards where I live. Once you come through the intersection, you have to make an immediate left turn. And so you want to be in the left-hand straight lane. There's a left-hand straight lane and a right-hand straight lane. Then there's a left turn lane and a right turn lane as well. So the car should be in the left-hand straight lane as it goes through the intersection and then make a left turn after. The car still tries to go into the right-hand straight lane. I think nav is telling it to be in the left-hand straight lane, and FSD beta is unsure and wants to go in the right-hand straight lane. So that has been a consistent problem, and if I force it to be in the left lane, it might try to make a left turn, or it might try to go into the right-hand straight lane as we're crossing the intersection. It just doesn't like that intersection. There's no particularly obvious reason to me why it doesn't like that intersection, but it was just struggling with it. So I've done it 3 times now in version 10.10 where it gets it basically right. It's still trying to get into the right lane beforehand, but if I force it to stay in the left-hand straight lane, it goes across the intersection roughly correctly. It still hesitates a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right in the middle of the intersection, but only a tiny bit. And one time it went straight through like there was nothing wrong. So much significant improvement. I think the really big improvements that are happening in FSD beta are not related to how it drives this intersection, how it drives that intersection. It's its ability to take the incoming data and construct a vector space, a representation of the world, where it sees where all the lane lines are, it sees where all the objects are, it predicts where objects are going to move, and its prediction, mainly it's about making better predictions right now. And as it makes better predictions, as it gets a better representation of the real world, it makes it easier to drive through that space. When you're more confident about what the real world is, what ground truth is, then you're better able to navigate that space. So that's the real improvement that's happening that people don't understand. And again, I want to thank everyone for watching here on Locals. Please consider supporting the channel. If you support the channel, then you can, if you support on Locals, then you can participate in the chat and you can comment on the posts. Again, this will be on YouTube shortly, and on YouTube there will be a live chat for everyone. Sometimes I limit the live chat to subscribers. I think I'm probably going to leave it for everybody this time. Sandy Monroe did a video he's been breaking down the Model S Plaid. He talked about the masterpiece of Tesla Model S Plaid battery pack, and Elon says that was a tough one. I actually talked to Drew Baglino. I was in a conversation with Drew Baglino, and he said that the refresh Model S battery pack was a major advance, that a lot of the weight savings of the vehicle, the Model S long range dropped about 300 pounds compared to the previous Model S long range. The Plaid dropped, 150 pounds compared to the performance Model S. And Drew Baglino is basically the number 2 guy at Tesla, number 2 or number 3 guy at Tesla, along with Zach Kirkhorn, said that they did a tremendous job at saving weight in the battery pack. So Elon said that was a tough one. The new Model Y structural pack is next level, though. We're going to be seeing this hopefully in a month, if not sooner. We're going to talk about 4680 cells in a second, but this was kind of an interesting moment. If you watch the Monroe Live channel, or if you're not familiar with the Monroe Live channel, Sandy Monroe has a channel. They've been tearing down a Model S Plaid. A lot of interesting stuff there. They're very impressed with the drivetrain, obviously. A lot of great things happening there. This came out, I think it was today or yesterday. There's this speculation on Tesla Motors Club, this Tesla fan, BBS or whatever we want to call it now, forum. So there's this image, which I'm going to show you in a second, that represents 4680 battery production on the 22nd of January. And they had 14 machines running and produced 92% good batteries. And then one of the machines was underperforming, and that machine had 82% bad batteries. So overall, they're doing better than 92% yield, which is a really good sign for the future of 4680. This is in Cato Road. This is in Fremont. This is not production at Giga Texas or Giga Berlin yet. And you can see the reference that the problems on that particular machine was being used to train folks from Texas who will be producing in the future. We're going to be seeing 4680 cell production in Texas probably in 3 to 6 months. Same thing in Giga Berlin, probably 3 to 6 months. In the meantime, they're going to be producing Model Ys with 4680s from Fremont. And this guy said that there were over 1 million batteries sitting in a warehouse somewhere waiting to become part of Model Y structural battery pack being produced in Texas. So they have been producing, and they said they've been producing 4680 cells. They've talked about this for at least 3 quarters now. Maybe it was 4 quarters that they've been successfully producing some cells. At some point, they're going to start using them. If I understand correctly, a Model Y will have about 900 4680 cells. Maybe it's 960. I think it's around 900. Maybe 800. I'm not sure what the number is. I don't know if anybody has that number. So somebody said this equated to about 1,300 Model Ys. But we don't know about over 1 million batteries. Is that over 1 million batteries like 10 million batteries, or is it over 1 million batteries like 1.1 million batteries? We don't really know how many batteries they have. I think they have a lot. They're getting ready to go really well, so this is going to be exciting. And here's the graph. Let me show you the graph. So let me see if I can make that bigger for you. Block myself out for a second. The chart here, which is probably unreadable for you, it's unreadable for me, is a list of what were the failures. What were the reasons why the battery cells didn't work? And so there's a few key reasons why there's actually several reasons why battery cells are not working properly. These are all engineering challenges that they will get better at. And you can see over here that most of the lines were doing much better. And one line in particular, line 212, that's the line that was having problems. That's the line where they were training other employees right here. So they're making really good progress on 4680. Good news. So I think we can expect to see 4680 cells in Model Ys very soon coming out of Texas. And I still, there's this open question, how is Tesla going to sell the Model Y out of Giga Texas with 4680 and structural pack? The vehicle should be about 500 pounds lighter than an existing Model Y. So are they going to sell it as a performance Model Y? Are they going to sell it as an existing trim level, or are they going to create a new trim level for it? I think they're going to create a new trim level for it, like Ludicrous Y. Other people think they will put it in an existing trim level and use software to limit its performance and or its range, and maybe open that up later. Mark says Tesla has 8 cameras, 360 degrees. Human only have 2 eyes forward. Yes, that's exactly correct. Mark says 95% on 6+ machines. Yeah, they're doing really well. This is a really good sign. Things are looking really good. There was another recall from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, I believe, or maybe it was, I think it's NHTSA, that some of the Teslas have a feature where the vehicle can make, you can play music out of your vehicle externally, or you can use it like a microphone. And apparently this interferes with some regulatory issue about EVs making some kind of noise for blind pedestrians. I don't know that there's any evidence that this is really necessary, but they've got it. And as Elon put it, the fun police made them take away the boombox. That's frustrating. Chokunen says they could use structural packs in Fremont as well, already using front and rear castings. No, in Fremont, they're only using rear castings. They're not using front castings yet. I don't think they're ready. They're going to have to convert the line over to structural pack and front and rear casting in the future, but I don't think they're ready to do that yet. And I think the idea is they are being very productive in producing Model Ys in Shanghai and Fremont, so they're going to continue producing there. And once they have scaled production of structural pack 4680 Model Y in Texas, and once they have scaled production of the cells, then at some point they may convert Fremont over. Dave to Dave says, do we know the yield of 2170 or 18650 batteries in percentage terms? No, I don't think we know that. I've seen numbers in the past that weren't that great, but I think what happens is as they manufacture them, they get better and better and better. So I think they're probably better than this now. There were times when they were in the 80s or 90s. So another topic I want to talk about, I've been talking about this topic a lot. It was in my Ben Sullins video this week. One of the most common attacks on Tesla these days about service, this guy named Martin, who follows me on Twitter, has a very small following, said that's exactly why people hate on his video. Because most people don't own a Tesla, they have no exposure to the product and have no idea how bad the service is or the quality of the cars. They live in their Tesla fanboy bubble where everything is just fine. So, first of all, I don't know whether Martin is real or a troll or a bot. Second of all, there's this fundamental flaw in this kind of analysis. There's this idea that, well, you just haven't had a problem yet. Wait until you have a problem. Yeah, okay, that's sure. Somebody who's had a problem is not going to be happy, but the bad thinking, the foolish, illogical thinking is, I had a bad service experience, therefore Tesla service is bad everywhere for everyone, worse than any other car maker. And the first part, there's definitely going to be incidents where if somebody has bad service, they've sold about 2.5 million cars. So if 1% of customers have a bad service experience, in other words, if 99% of people have a great customer service experience and 1% have bad service, that would be 25,000 bad stories. 99% success is pretty damn good. And I think that's better than anyone else. Now, I don't know what Tesla's percentage is of good service experiences versus bad service experiences, and neither does anybody else who's criticizing Tesla on their service. Ben Sullins complains about the service. Zach and Jesse from Now You Know complain about the service. Nobody knows where the service ranks compared to other car companies. What we do know is Tesla has extremely high brand loyalty. And if Tesla has extremely high brand loyalty, that suggests that there's not that much of a service problem. What we have is a bunch of whiners. There's a certain small group of people who have bad service experiences, and they whine about it. And it gets amplified by people like Ben Sullins and the Now You Know channel who exaggerate the role of it, and they ignore the fact that Zach Kirkhorn talked about the efforts they're making to improve service. There's no question that service could be better. Service could be better in any company. And people are like, oh, well, they should go above and beyond what anybody else does. Well, how do you know they don't already? I think they already do go. They have a mobile service platform that no one else has. They're already going above and beyond everyone else. Are they perfect? No. Are there mistakes? Yes. Are there part shortages? Sure. In the middle of a supply chain crisis, there's going to be part shortages. Mark says, I thought Elon said Austin Model Y was East Coast priority. I think long run, Austin Model Y will go East Coast. But short run, my opinion is it makes more sense to make a higher level Model Y because it's going to be incredibly valuable. You might as well sell it for more until you're producing enough of them that you can sell them at lower cost. Do we know the... Okay, so I just want to be clear about this because we hear this again and again. There are negative voices. This for some reason, this is sticking. People buy this story more than I think they should. And they criticize Tesla service and say, oh, Tesla service is their weak point. We don't know that it's a weak point. We don't know that. We don't really know. We know that they want to get better at service. We know they're working on improving service. We know they're expanding the number of service centers. We know they're trying to make the cars better so that they need less service. That's what Zach Kirkhorn said. You either like Zach Kirkhorn, you either believe in Zach Kirkhorn or you don't. If you don't believe in Zach Kirkhorn, then sell the stock. Because Zach Kirkhorn's the CFO of the company, and he's one of the 3 key people in the company. So if you think he's lying to you about service, then you don't want to be a Teslaner. You want to sell the stock. I don't know how to answer that. They've been very clear. This is what we're doing. We know we had a problem with service. They explained the reasons for the service problems, that there was a surge in demand for service after people started leaving their homes, after they stopped panicking. Mitch says, having my ancient 2012 Model S front brakes fixed for the 6th time tomorrow. Thankfully, they fixed this issue on the newer models. Exactly. Well, the whole point is the newer vehicles are better made and need less service. That's the whole goal. If you pump out a lot more vehicles, but those vehicles are a lot less likely to need service, then you're saving a lot on service and you don't need as much service as you think. Chokwinen says, Ben sold out. That's Ben Sullins. That was more leaning into bashing without much more than anecdotes. Anecdotes, exactly. They're telling stories. Bashing Elon's family life. What was that? Terrible. If you haven't seen my video, check out my video about Butthurt Ben. That's what it seemed like to me. Anyway, so that's one of the prevailing lies right now. The other big news that just happened in the last day or so is the California DFA-EH, I don't remember, some sort of employment agency in California filed a lawsuit against Tesla. So the one thing you need to know that there's something wrong with this lawsuit is, and you can barely read it here, as early as 2012, this is a paragraph from the lawsuit. It says, as early as 2012, Black and African-American Tesla workers have complained about whatever, about racial discrimination or harassment in the workplace. If the California state agency knew about this in 2012, why did they wait 10 years to bring the lawsuit? And that tells you that there's something wrong. Tesla saw this was coming. They did a blog post talking about it. I'm going to be making a video, I think Thursday evening, that I'll record Thursday evening and probably post Friday morning on Locals. It's going to be on Locals, not on YouTube. Talking with Kat Paterno, who is a California lawyer who's worked with union issues and labor employment issues in California. We're going to discuss this lawsuit. We're going to discuss the Tesla response. We're going to discuss what's going on. I can tell you I'm pretty confident that we're both going to agree that this lawsuit is weak and that Tesla is being unfairly attacked by the California state government for God knows what reason, other than that they're trying to protect unions, they're trying to protect the radical left, whatever it is. This is a distraction from Tesla's success. It's just one more thing. So anyway, that video is coming in several days. Less than 7 days. We'll be doing that video. We'll be making the video, and then I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to post it on Locals that probably Friday morning. I think we're going to shoot the video Thursday evening and post it Friday morning. So let's go to the Q&A from the from this is from locals. This is Chokanen who's in the chat now. What's my take on the Carlos Ghosn drama? Carlos Ghosn was the CEO of Nissan, formerly Renault, and then Nissan, and got arrested in Japan. He was in Japanese prosecutor's custody, and then there was some sort of trick that got him out of the country in like a shipping container or something. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Honestly, this story, just choking in, this story is way too complicated. If you send me an email with maybe more specific questions, I'll try to address it. But the reality is I don't know that much about the Carlos Ghosn drama. As far as I understand it, he is hiding out in Lebanon to avoid prosecution. He says that the Japanese prosecutorial system is unfair. My gut hunch is that the Japanese prosecutorial system is probably fair enough, and that Carlos Ghosn is probably guilty of something, and he's hiding out because he knows he's going to be convicted of something. That's my gut hunch, but I don't know enough to offer really meaningful answers on that question. It's not something I spent a lot of time worrying about. I don't really care that much about Nissan and Carlos Ghosn and all this. It sounds to me, but my gut hunch is that the Japanese prosecutors. So I've handled a lot of criminal defense cases in the United States. And if it's a local case brought by local police and local prosecutors, it's more likely there's some greater likelihood that there's a problem with the prosecution. When the feds come for you, they almost always have you. The feds almost always lock down their cases. They make some mistakes, but I had a case where the feds made a mistake. Not to say that it never happens, but by and large, when the feds come for you, then especially when they do an investigation and come for you, like the border stuff, sometimes they make mistakes. That's where I had them make a mistake. And if they do drug arrests, they might make a mistake. But usually when the feds come for you, they've got you. And I think the same thing is probably true of Japanese prosecutors, is they're probably highly professional. And they probably don't come for someone unless they've got them. So it's disappointing that Lebanon is letting Carlos Ghosn hide out from the prosecution. And he probably really should face justice in Japan. And the United States should probably be doing something to support the Japanese government on this. And I don't know what the story is there. Maybe Lebanon is extradition free, and maybe the United States doesn't have any influence over it. So, AK, this is from Patreon. If you are a Patreon supporter, a local supporter, or a YouTube channel member, then you often get to ask questions in advance of the live stream, and that way I address them before on camera. So AK says, what do I see happening first? A Tesla bot delivered to a customer, or the first Tesla robotaxi fare occurs? Don't I think the initial Tesla bot tasks, cleaning, cooking, roofing, I would say surveillance, are easier problems to solve for than FSD? No, I think FSD is really, really close. I don't think we're going to have a working prototype Tesla bot until sometime next year. Maybe it was late this year, but I think it's more likely we'll have working prototypes next year. Manufacturing will take more than a year to get going. So I don't think we're going to see a manufactured Tesla bot for sale until 2024 at the earliest, and it might be 2025. I think there's some really complicated problems for Tesla bot, particularly the motion, because rolling on four wheels is easy. Bipedal walking is hard. I don't think Elon ever said that one. But I think that the initial challenge for Tesla bot will be recognizing the environment and navigating the environment, and doing tasks will be the step after that. So I don't think we'll see a bot delivered to a customer to do work until 2025. I want to be more optimistic and say 2024, but I think it's 2025 that the bot starts to take off. That's my gut hunch on that. Thank you for the question, AK. Okay, so Oscar asks, how do I think the stock price will be affected in the long term due to the conflict in Ukraine? I don't think that the conflict in Ukraine has anything to do with Tesla stock, so it should have zero long-term effect. Short term, who knows? Wall Street reacts to all kinds of crazy things that make no sense. So why not this? But I, as far as I know, Tesla doesn't sell a lot of cars in Ukraine, doesn't make cars in Ukraine, doesn't sell a lot of cars in Russia, doesn't make a lot of cars in Russia. I don't see how this is a big deal. Obviously, if it erupts into World War III, then it's going to have much bigger impacts than on Tesla stock price, but I don't think that's likely to happen either. I think that governments like to use opportunities like this to distract people from real problems. Not that Ukraine isn't a real problem, but I think they're trying to distract us. Eric M asks, I've been waiting to get approved for FSD with 99 safety score. Are they still adding more beta testers? I believe they are. I think it comes in lumps. So it'll be a while when you don't have it, and all of a sudden it'll be there. It might be 2 weeks, it might be 2 months, but you'll get it. Will Farm for Food, I like the name, says biggest risk to Tesla are cybersecurity and geopolitics, which Ukraine barely scratches the surface of. Yeah, I think the biggest risks to Tesla are governmental. That's where I think that is. Will Farm for Food says, on the flip side, Tesla might be the most resilient company of the future, surviving unthinkable scenarios as they are so valuable to the world economy and climate. I think we saw that in the last couple of years. Supply chain shortage hits. Tesla reacted better than anybody else. They grew through a crisis better than anyone else. I think they will continue to grow through whenever crisis happens next. Now, another robo-taxi versus question. Jim McLean, I don't know if this is Sue McLean's husband, but he said, what do you think will come first, robo-taxi or robo-semi? Or if Sue McLean is using the Jim McLean account. What do I think will come first, robo-taxi or robo-semi? I think robo-taxi will come first. I think robo-semi is going to take longer to get going. They are training the cars to drive anywhere, and that training is far more advanced than training for semi. Semi is going to require additional training to be able to handle that long trailer, to be able to drive in somewhat different environments than cars drive sometimes. So I think robo-semi will take longer. Mitch says, well, let's see. Jim says, I hope Biden doesn't start a war, hoping it gets him reelected. He threw away Afghanistan and may destroy the unity of NATO if he does this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want anybody to start a war anywhere. Let's go with that. I think we need fewer wars. We need no wars. Let's all have peace and get along with each other. Mitch says, FYI, Ellie interviewed Dave Lee last night. Was interesting. Her Scott Manley interview was good as well. Great. Please check out the Ellie in Space channel. Big fan of hers. I started watching the Scott Manley interview. I don't think I started watching the Dave Lee interview yet. Not sure whether I'm going to get to those because I got stuff I'm working on. And Super Bowl's today, right? We're all excited about the Super Bowl. So, all right. So that's my material for today. That's all the material I had. Boring Company broke through to Resorts World, but I think that was last week. Neuralink, there are allegations. We should talk about Neuralink really quick before I wrap up. There are some allegations published, sort of like it was like a complaint made that Neuralink has, killed a bunch of monkeys or something like that. Really wasn't clear what the complaint was alleging because it seemed like the complaint was against University of California, Davis rather than against Neuralink. And the complaint made certain, the word is allegations. It said certain things happened, but it didn't back up whatever data they actually have to support their claims. They didn't make that available. This is some entity that, litigates on behalf of animals or something like that. And, we want Neuralink to treat the monkeys well. We want Neuralink to treat the pigs well. And I believe they do treat the monkeys well, and I believe they do treat the pigs well. This is an allegation that sort of they're not treating the monkeys well or they're not treating the pigs well. I don't know whether that's true or not. I suspect it's not true. There's a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt being thrown at Elon Musk's companies lately. So, the odds are that there have been mistakes and some monkeys have been harmed and some pigs have been harmed. But everything I've seen is they are working very hard to provide the monkeys and the pigs with as safe and comfortable and pleasant an environment as possible. And what I hear from people loosely inside or near inside is that that's what's going on. So I think it's unlikely that Neuralink is actually mistreating animals. It seems dumb. Mitch says, my Starlink Generation 2 dish arrived and is working well, waiting for Ethernet adapter to fully integrate. Very cool, Mitch. Very excited to hear that. I ordered Starlink. I'm guessing my Starlink will arrive in a few months. What are we, February now? So summer. I think they said summer. Jim says, allegations are easy to create. No, I'm not beating up Elvis held captive in the back of my car. Yeah, I mean, there's all these stories out there of allegations. That's the DFEH complaint against Tesla. Allegations that this happened or that happened. If something that bad is going on, why didn't it leak out? Why was this thing kept quiet for so long? How did it fail to leak out? That's dubious. I think it's unlikely. So we'll find out more. All right, so Super Bowl is coming today, and I'm going to wrap up early so I can get this video on YouTube. Oh, wait, let's see. Neil says, on the lighter side, have you downloaded any of the new music for the Tesla Light Show? No, I just played the Tesla Light Show for friends yesterday, but I have not downloaded any new music for it. Maybe I'll give that a try. Deep pockets are always targets. Yeah. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching. If you're on YouTube, this will be on YouTube. Who do I want to win the game? I don't care who wins the game. I'm a New York Giants football fan, kind of like the Miami Dolphins, and neither of my teams are in it, so probably rooting for the Buccaneers a little bit because I like Tom Brady, and not for a good reason because I'm a Giants fan and the Giants beat Tom Brady twice in Super Bowls, but I just don't. I've lost a lot of interest in sports in the last few years. The only sport I really watch much of it all now is NBA basketball, and I'm getting tired of that too. Okay, so again, Tesla and Air t-shirts and other t-shirts at elonbits.com, stainless steel water bottle at elonbits.com. Please consider supporting this channel here on Locals. Please consider supporting me on Patreon. Consider supporting me at my YouTube channel as a member, especially exclusive content member. Members, supporters get early access to some of my videos, including the Ben Sullins video. That was early access for people. So yeah, the wokeness is bothering me too, Victor. It's one of the reasons I don't watch sports that much anymore. I'm just all the ads lately. The ads are just driving me nuts. I just can't. Even the ads are woke. It's terrible. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you all next week.